Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Viking.TV. My name is Neil, and I'm based in Viking's London office, where I've worked for the past 11 years. Now, it's 6 p.m. in London. It's been a beautiful day in London. The sun's been out. It's been fantastic. There's definitely spring in the air. So wherever you are in the world, I hope everybody is keeping safe and well. And welcome to Wanderlust Wednesdays. So for the next half hour or so, I'm going to be giving you a bit of an introduction to one of our great itineraries, one of our journeys, which is Journey to Antiquities. And that'll take us from Rome through to Athens. And I wish I could pack in more information about this itinerary, but I've given you just a bit of a snapshot of what to expect. And I will be around afterwards to try and answer any questions that you've got. So please keep them coming in. And if we don't know the answers for you, we'll certainly do our best to find out. So I think sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea, and it's now time to start travelling virtually on our Journey to Antiquities itinerary. Thanks very much. See you soon. Welcome to our Journey to Antiquities itinerary, an 8-day journey travelling from Rome and Italy to Athens, Greece, taken in Naples, Sicily, Crete, and Kushadasi, gateway to the mighty Ephesus along the way. This really is the perfect itinerary to savour the flavour of the Mediterranean, the sights, the sounds, the culture, and gives you the opportunity to immerse yourself in the history of these unique destinations. So let's take a closer look at what to expect on this journey to Antiquities.
Join Viking on our fascinating 8-day Journey to Antiquities itinerary. You'll experience some of the most storied cities in Italy, Turkey, and Greece. An unforgettable voyage bookended by 3 of Europe's most impressive ancient civilizations. Your exploration begins with legendary Rome, the eternal city and its spectacular architecture. You'll sail Italy's western coast, bound for intriguing Naples, where you can take in Greek and Roman architecture at the Piazza del Plebiscito, or set off for fabled Pompeii and nearby Herculaneum, 2 cities of antiquity frozen in time by the eruptions of Mount Vesuvius. Sicily, a large island found off the tip of the Italian boot, is practically a world of its own. In the city of Messina, you'll discover Sicily's heart in the picturesque Old Town, along with cultural treasures like the impressive votive temple of Christ the King. On the Isle of Crete, stroll through the postcard-perfect Old Town of Chania, one of the oldest cities in Europe, or follow your curiosity in the Palace of Knossos, once home to King Minos and centre of the Minoan Kingdom. Then it's on to Turkey, and one of the world's most storied destinations, remarkable Ephesus. Your journey ends in mythical Athens, where you can immerse yourself in the ancient Plaka district, and perhaps sample ouzo, Greece's signature drink at a local taverna, before walking in the footsteps of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle as you climb the Acropolis to explore the remarkable Parthenon.
I do hope that short video gave you a taster of what to expect on this itinerary. Now, as you can see from the map, we have an overview of the destinations we visit. Now, this cruise operates in either direction, so you can choose to start in Athens and finish in Rome, or vice versa. For this presentation, we'll be starting in Rome, sailing to Naples, Messina in Sicily, Suda Bay in Crete, Kushadasi in Turkey, and finally arriving in Athens, where you have an overnight stay on board. And it makes no real difference which direction you travel in on this itinerary. So when's the best time to travel? Well, we operate this itinerary from October to February, and we're currently on sale right through to February 2023. The season from October to February, in my opinion, is probably one of the best times to travel on this journey, really for 2 reasons. First of all, the temperature is around an average of 16 degrees centigrade or 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which makes it comfortable to walk around during the day. Now, if you contrast that to the height of the summer, temperatures can get as high as 35 degrees centigrade, which is around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So travelling at this time of the year really gives you the opportunity to take your time, see the sights without hiding for shelter from the sun. It's also a quiet season for visiting this region. The crowds have mostly disappeared from the main cities, so getting closer to the sites and landmarks we visit is an awful lot easier. In terms of packing, good comfortable walking shoes are essential, and you'll need these for exploring the likes of Naples and Athens on foot. I'd also recommend a heavier jumper for the evening, as the nights can be cooler, and also take a waterproof with you, just in case you encounter some showers along the way. Let's look at the itinerary in a bit more detail. It's day one, and you join the ship in Civitavecchia, which is a port city approximately 1 hour 30 minutes from Rome's main airport. And there's lots of flight options from across the globe to get to Rome. Now, please bear in mind that the ship departs at around 6 p.m. Now, we also don't operate any excursions on day one. So if you really want to experience Rome, I'd urge you to book a pre-extension. If you do opt for a pre-extension with Viking and a Viking Air, remember that all your transfers are included. One of our most popular extensions is to spend 2 nights in Rome itself, where you can stay in a centrally located hotel. So Rome, the eternal city, really is spectacular. And if you're travelling a long way for this journey, then it's worth extending. Around every corner, you're greeted with a Roman ruin, a statue or a fountain. Now, the Colosseum by day is great, but walking around the Colosseum at night, all lit up, is truly spectacular. There's an area in Rome called Trastevere. This is where you'll find some great traditional trattorias, bars, and enjoy delicious authentic Italian cuisine. And the tip for truly authentic dishes is to visit the restaurants in the back streets and not necessarily the ones in the main piazza or promenades. For something a little different, spend 3 nights on our Tuscany extension, part of our Ultimate Italy programme, with its spectacular scenery and vineyards. Alternatively, head off the beaten track by visiting Bologna and Parma, an area famed for its exports of fast cars and the legendary Parma ham. Or spend 3 nights in Umbria, a lesser known region with some stunning towns and villages, prior to joining your cruise. Day 2 arrives and the ship docks at around 7:30 a.m. Welcome to Naples. It's long been a major centre of Italian culture, and from this location, we offer more than a dozen excursions to choose from. Your included excursion today is a 3.5-hour tour of the city, part motor coach, part walking, and it gives you a good taste of all that this city has to offer. Some highlights of historic Naples include Piazza del Plebiscito, the city's largest square, and you can see this on the slide shown. Castel di Ovo, a large seaside castle and the oldest fortification in Naples. Basilica of San Francesco di Paolo, built in a neoclassical style and reminiscent of Athens' Parthenon, and the Royal Palace with its Italian Baroque facade decorated with statues of former kings of the Kingdom of Naples. Let's discover more of Naples, though, with this short video.
The ancient city centre of Naples is Europe's largest, and within this UNESCO World Heritage Site are countless hidden wonders. History is all over and under the streets of Naples, and even under some people's beds. Entrances like this one, discovered in just 2003, lead to a world lost to time. A world more than 100 feet below the city streets. What began as an ancient lava flow was transformed in the 6th century BC into a mesmerizing labyrinth. Hand-carved by Greek slaves who sought building materials for the new city of Neapolis.
To build the houses where the people lived, the slaves dug out the holes. They come to this level, then they dug out the stones. Big stones for the big city wall of Naples. Little stones used for the houses. Then they put the stones on platforms, and then other slaves worked outside.
And this is volcanic rock, is it?
Yes, it's a volcanic rock. It's a yellow tuff stone, 2-4, from an eruption of Campi Flegrei over 30,000 years ago.
These massive man-made caves provided more than just stone building blocks. they also created a rare opportunity: the chance to possess one of the old world's most valuable treasures. Fresh, clean water from a reliable source. What had been useless caverns were given new life as invaluable cisterns.
Every building of the 15th, 16th century in the historical center has their own well, their own water. Imagine, in Naples, we have over 10,000 wells.
This water source served Naples faithfully. Then, when the region became part of the Roman Empire, the Romans implemented a radical change that vastly improved the water system.
They were very clever. They connected the cisterns with narrow tunnels, because if a tunnel is narrow, it's better for the pressure of the water, so the water was faster inside all the aqueduct. Imagine the water system in Naples was 300 kilometers long. So you could go from here to Pompeii walking under Naples.
The underground aqueduct remained in use until 1884, when a cholera pandemic closed it down. And it lay abandoned until World War II, when it was revived as an air raid shelter and protected thousands. In the Naples underground, peeling back history is an unending task. A process that's revealing significant finds, like this section of a Roman theatre. It offers a unique glimpse into the past, including the chance to study Roman construction techniques that have withstood earthquakes and the test of time. Today, these massive caverns have a new role as a working laboratory, with strawberries, basil, and other plants thriving in the cool, humid conditions. But it's just one of many ways these caves have continued to elude the hand of time. Next time you're in Naples, consider the fascinating history that lies below your feet, even if you don't venture down into the caves of Napoli Sotterranea.
An optional excursion I'd recommend is to Sorrento. And Sorrento's a historic town packed with cafes and shops and restaurants. And the drive along the Amalfi Coast is breathtaking. And we're able to visit some of the seaside villages along the way. You might choose to stroll the streets of Pompeii, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And we offer combination excursions where you can spend the full time in Pompeii or combine it with Sorrento. And this gives you the opportunity to discover more of the area while we're docked in Naples. Or for the more adventurous, you can ascend to the crater rim of Mount Vesuvius by 4x4 and foot. And it's definitely one of our more active excursions. So let's have a look at more of the mighty Mount Vesuvius.
Amid this tranquil beauty, a slumbering legend lies in wait. This is the base of Mount Vesuvius, and the quiet setting belies the area's turbulent past. Winding through the lush pine and ilex forest, it's easy to forget there's a giant looming overhead. Emerging above the tree line, the suddenly stark landscape and extraordinary scale reminded me of the immense power within this imposing icon. But powerful as Vesuvius is, it's long stood falsely accused of burying Pompeii.
The history of Vesuvius is a long story, but I can tell you that the mountain that destroyed Pompeii wasn't this mountain in particular, but the old one.
The old one, Mount Somma, was enormous, seen today as a caldera that dwarfs Mount Vesuvius.
It was 2,300 meters higher. Now the new cone, it's a 1281.
So it was much higher.
Well, much higher.
In 79 AD, the continuing collision of the African and the Eurasian tectonic plates deep underground brought this once benevolent giant to life.
Debris is gone 28 kilometers high.
28.
Full of gases, ashes, with so many rocks going down.
While not the world's first volcanic eruption, this one was different. Thanks to a Roman known as Pliny the Younger, whose detailed letters mark the birth of volcanology.
Pliny, with the Roman fleet, watched the eruption, describing the explosion of Pompeii village of Herculaneum, and is the first document talking about an eruption. And for that, we call this great explosion Plinian eruption.
Through the centuries, Vesuvius dramatically stirred to life, then quickly returned to slumber. In between, it drew the curious, because for an extended period, those who could make it to the top found Vesuvius easy to explore.
The crater was completely different. There was no hole. Crater was flat. But across this, we can walk.
But Vesuvius eventually closed the book on that opportunity.
Last eruption making this crater was during 1944.
During the war?
During the Second World War in March. And here was a light, English-American. We had so much lava, so many rocks going down. The magma chamber was empty and everything collapsed.
The eruption went on for 2 solid weeks and cost the Allies 88 aircraft. Vesuvius is most remembered for death and destruction. But on a happier note, it did play a key role in one of Italy's most loved songs. In 1880, during a quiet period for Vesuvius, some brave souls decided to run a funicular up the side of the volcano. And to celebrate, they created a theme song, Funiculi Funicular. The feisty funicular withstood 2 eruptions before a third shut it down. While the funicular itself was lost to time, its melody and spirit live on. Mount Vesuvius is one of Italy's remarkable natural wonders, and a rare treasure you really shouldn't miss.
So when in Italy, and especially in this region, you need to try limoncello. Now, limoncello, it's a lemon-based digestive, generally served in a shot glass. However, it's meant to be sipped rather than drunk in one go. And if you never had a chance to partake in some limoncello in Naples, you can always try one here. Yes, for our regular ocean travellers, this restaurant will look very familiar. Manfredi's Italian, found on every ship in our ocean fleet. Now remember, there is absolutely no charge to dine here, and you can dine in Manfredi's as often as you like, subject to availability. All you need to do is make a reservation in advance via My Viking Journey or on board. Now there's no shortage of choice or variety in Manfredi's, and we serve firm Italian favourites, including what must be the finest steak at sea or land, the bistecca fiorentina. And I've been known to take pictures of this steak to remind me of the evenings in Manfredi's while back on terra firma. It's day 3 and welcome to the Sicilian city of Messina. Messina is situated in the northeast of the island, and it's been shaped by countless civilizations, from the Greek to Byzantine to Roman. And our included excursion today is a tour lasting approximately 3 hours, where you can wander around the old town and stop for a photo at the hillside temple of Christ the King. Your ship is docked in Messina for around 10 hours, and it gives you lots of opportunity to explore all that Sicily has to offer. Now, options include a visit to Mount Etna's towering volcano, and you can marvel at the ancient temples and arenas in the hillside resort of Taormina. Mount Etna is the largest active volcano in Europe. And if you prefer something more demanding, like when we were at Mount Vesuvius, you can also experience Mount Etna on a 4x4 expedition. And that includes a hike along its volcanic craters, definitely for the adventurous. Movie lovers won't want to miss a drive through the rustic villages of Sicily that traces the classic Godfather film trilogy. And you can see a collection of photos and memorabilia from the movie in the famous Bar Vitelli. and a visit to the 13th century church of San Nicole, or Santa Lucia, where the wedding of Michael and Apollina took place. We're now on day 4, and you can sit back and relax as we have a day at sea. And I really want to take a moment to remind ourselves of just how beautiful our fleet of small identical ships are. Now, wherever in the world you would like to sail, and whether you sail on the Star, the Sea, the Sky, the Orion, the Jupiter, or the brand new Venus, Mars, or Neptune, it'll feel like a home from home as soon as you get on board. Now, unlike the big ships with thousands of passengers, our fleet is home to only 930 guests. All staterooms have a private veranda, you have free Wi-Fi, and an included shore excursion in almost every port of call. Now, there's no charge for the alternative restaurants, and your onboard beer, wine, and soft drinks are included with lunch and dinner. It's the design of our ships that make them truly unique, from the specially selected books in the library to the intricate design of the chairs and cushions found all around the ship. Every area tells a story, and today's the perfect day to discover what makes the Viking fleet so special. You'll have already found your favourite spot. Mine is on deck 8 in the Explorer's Lounge, discovered your favourite cocktail, and picked your favourite painting from the artwork on board. But there's so much more to discover, and I'd urge you to take part in one of the guest lectures. There's so much to see, so much history around this area, discovering the fascinating civilizations. So taking in a lecture or a round table discussion should form part of your day. And just before the light fades, why not take a dip in our heated infinity pool? We're now on day 5. It's 8 AM and we arrive at Souda Bay on the Greek island of Crete. Now, Souda Bay is one of the deepest natural harbours in the Mediterranean and has been an important port since antiquity because of its location along key trade routes in the region. Now, the included tour is a walking tour of Hania, where you can wander through the old towns and Venetian harbour. It's one of my favourite spots in Crete, and the old town has lots of bars and restaurants and tavernas to sit and enjoy a drinking. An optional tour today is to visit the remnants of the Palace of Knossos, the centre of the Minoan kingdom that ruled over the island of Crete from approximately 2600 to 1100 BC. And I always remember reading Theseus and the Minotaur at school, so I was very pleased to have had the opportunity to visit Crete after reading the story from a young age. So here in Crete, we also offer one of our work and world excursions, and these give you a glimpse of the world at work, including local industries and arts and crafts, and you'll see and understand local people anew. Now, you can tour on all the factory and winery to learn how these ancient Cretan traditions have become influenced by modern production techniques. For a more active excursion into the natural world, you might choose to hike a trail through the Cretan heartland, admire the green pine trees, high rock walls, and picturesque bridges crossing cool streams. Then enjoy a delicious lunch of Cretan cuisine and listen to a musician play traditional songs while you eat and enjoy Tsakoudia, a local Great Base brandy distilled in the hills. Now, food plays a major role in this itinerary as you sail through this historic region. And where the opportunity permits, local specialities are cooked by our team of chefs outside on the Akavit terrace. And this will let you try some local flavours and give an authentic taste of the region. Sailing on, we're now in Turkey. It's day 6 and it's 8 AM. Kuşadası, at the height of the summer season, is a popular seaside town for overseas holidaymakers, and there's lots of cafes and shops to wander around. However, it's the gateway to Ephesus and much, much quieter in the winter season. Today's included excursion is a fascinating visit to one of the best preserved cities of antiquity in the world. Many of its ruins have endured from the time Ephesus was one of the largest metropolises of the ancient world. Excavations reach back to the 10th century BC, when this city hosted one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis. Although we have the included tour, we do have several optionals for you to choose from. You can step back into the Bronze Age and visit the Oracle of Digma to learn about local people who once turned to it for guidance. You can see the Temple of Apollo, part of a once elaborate Hellenic sanctuary. Visit Miletus, which was once one of the wealthiest Greek ports, and now it's part of modern-day Turkey. Marvel at the most recognisable building in the city, the Library of Celsus, which is shown here, and it was built to house 12,000 scrolls. Its colonnaded facade is an outstanding example of a typical Roman public building. Or, for a completely new perspective, take to the skies by plane, fly over ancient ruins and the great Temple of Artemis, taking stunning views of the coastline, fig and olive trees, and the Aegean Sea. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see from the air the lands once travelled by great figures of ancient history. After a busy few days and a busy morning walking around Ephesus, the spa on board your ocean ship looks even more inviting. Remember, this is complimentary to use, and you have access to the hydrotherapy pool, the snow grotto, the steam room, the sauna and plunge pools. It's the perfect way to round off the day. Before we arrive in Athens, it's your last chance to visit the shops and buy gifts for your friends and family back home, or treat yourself to some fine jewellery. If you have youngsters in the family, I'd recommend the World of Finsa books. Seen through the eyes of this beautiful Labrador, Finsa explores Europe and beyond. Beautifully illustrated by Susie Jane Tanner and written by Karina Hagen. Here we are on day 7 and welcome back to Greece for an overnight stay and your final port of call, Athens. The ship docks in Piraeus, which is around 30 to 40 minutes drive from Athens city centre, depending on traffic. Now, Athens, the capital of Greece, is considered the birthplace of democracy because it was home to Greek philosophers like Plato and Aristotle. Our included excursion is a 4-hour panoramic tour of Athens and the Archaeological Museum. We do, of course, have many optionals for you to consider, including several opportunities to see the magnificent Acropolis, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the Acropolis Museum. The Parthenon is the temple that dominates the Acropolis and was dedicated to the Greek goddess Athena.
Strolling through the magnificent Acropolis, I learned of the modern-day love story of Mary and Mimikos, a romantic tragedy that became a movie chronicling the dramatic events of 1893.
Mary Weber was a German governess at the palace of King George I of Greece.
She met an army surgeon,
Michael Mimikos.
They met somehow during a Sunday promenade and they fell in love.
It must have been a love at first sight.
The two lovers met every day on the Acropolis of Athens.
This was their standard rendezvous.
It's one of those loves that you all know, like Juliet and Romeo.
They did things discreetly because, you know, it wasn't very proper for a young girl to be having an affair. They used to communicate with letters. She would leave it at the military hospital, which was just next to the Acropolis Museum, so that he would receive it.
Sending letters one to the other, forever, promising things, waiting for them to get married, waiting for them to live the rest of their life.
The love affair went on for 7 months, and they started making plans to see if they could be married, if they would have enough money to make it through.
One day, Mimikos did not come, and the following day, he did not show up.
Michael Mimikos is missing those morning rendezvous every single day for 3 running days.
He disappears. Mary sends one letter, the second letter, the third letter, no response.
And this happened for 8 running days.
Finally, she writes a brief note.
She's absolutely desperate. She wants to meet him, and now it's the 4th letter coming saying,
"If you don't come, I kill myself." And she meant it.
The next morning, she's coming up with great hope. She started picking up and collecting flowers from all around the rocky hill.
And in that white gown in which she was dressed, she went all the way up.
All the way up to the very top of the Parthenon.
And she stood there, and the guard, who was an eyewitness, said that she looked like a statue, a living statue in that dress that was blown by the air.
And when she knew that he was not coming, she just leapt.
Some tourists that happened to be nearby helped her to transfer her body to the nearby hospital. This hospital at the foot of the Acropolis, where Mimikos was a staff member.
Her love arrived, Michael, only to find out all the letters that had piled up there. And he had not read them, he had not received them, only because he was sick all these days. He was absent for 8 days in a row.
He was guided to the room. There he found his Mary holding violets, dressed as a bride. That was the custom in Greece, still is, when unmarried people die.
That moment he said, "Do not worry, I'll follow you soon."
The next thing we know is that his family took him to their house. His brother decided to stay with him so that he wouldn't commit suicide, but at some point in the night,
He took his gun and he shot himself.
straight into the heart.
That next day the funerals took place. There were separate burials, but on that same night of the funerals, a group of doctors, friends actually, they entered the cemetery and moved the body of Mimikos into Mary's grave.
Their names are engraved on the grave stone and the grave marker, and it is a very sweet, modest place.
Mimikos and Mary were as pure as angels, and like angels, they flew to heaven.
I hope you too will do what I did and explore the Acropolis, listening closely for the other stories these stones can tell.
The bustling Plaka district at the base of the Acropolis is ideal for exploring its shop-lined cobblestone streets, or savouring small plates of meze, or even a sip of ouzo. And ouzo is a traditional aperitif. It's an acquired taste, but a must-try. And Plaka is the perfect area to sit down and soak up the atmosphere of the magnificent city. To get you in the mood, let's learn more about ouzo by visiting Bretos, a long-established shop in the Plaka district.
In the heart of Athens' colourful Plaka district lies a tasty treasure. Bretos, the oldest distillery in Greece and second oldest in Europe. What was once an Athenian mansion is now filled to the rafters with homemade spirits.
So this very special bar has been here for a long time?
Yes, the bar is since 1909, 107 years. He started, Mr. Bretos, fixing in the backyard of the store ouzo and a spirit.
Greek spirits particularly?
Greek spirit, yes, Greek spirit.
Bretos is home to a delightful collection of intriguing spirits, brought to life from old family recipes, tastes found nowhere else.
We make our own ouzo. We make 40 different flavors of liqueurs and a couple of local things. One is chipuro, which is like a vodka, like a grappa, from the raisins, from the grapes. And we make rakomelo, which is raki with the cinnamon and honey. But our raki is without anise, chipoudia. Raki in Turkey is with anise.
So your raki does not taste like licorice?
Exactly.
Another option is a local's favourite, with an unusual taste derived from mastic trees on the Isle of Chios.
This is a bottle of pure mastica.
Yes. This is the tree with the sugar and alcohol.
Okay. And what does mastica itself taste like?
It's a very unique flavor. I have to give you a little bit to taste it, and you tell me about that.
Okay.
This is sweet thing, huh?
Sweet, yeah. I like sweets.
Go ahead.
That's unique.
It's unique flavor. That.
Little bit like the forest.
The forest, yes.
Like the trees.
The Greeks, they love mastica. The 99%.
In Norway, we have a drink called aquavit. Aquavit.
I heard about it. I know the aqua.
The water of life. So this is sort of the Greek aquavit.
Aquavit, yes. Aquavit.
Of course, there's one Greek spirit we simply had to check out, the Bretos' version of ouzo.
Where does that name come from?
I don't know what means.
I don't know what
Really,
it means.
really, I don't know what means, but I can tell you how we make ouzo.
And how do you make it?
Yes. The ouzo is the spirit which comes from sugar beets, the anise, and by the law, masticha. Have you tried ouzo before?
I love ouzo.
You love ouzo?
Because I love licorice.
If you love licorice, this you like more than all the other licorice you had.
It's liquid licorice.
Licorice. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's very smooth. And this is 48 proof?
Yes.
It's distilled and it's double distilled.
And three and 4, yes.
And this particular one, which is the 48%, has been distilled how many times?
4 times.
4 times.
Yes.
That's the highest number
The
of
highest.
distillations.
We have 46% 3 times,
Yeah.
42% 2 times,
Yeah.
and the blue one, which is 40% 1 time.
Does any of them taste more of licorice than
Yes,
others?
yes, of course. The 40% more licorice, less. As more distilled, less you feel the licorice.
So if you're like me and you love licorice,
If you love licorice, you go
Which
to the
one should I
40%.
how are you supposed to drink ouzo? You're not supposed to.
No, sip it,
You're supposed to sip it.
not shoot it.
Does it have any health benefits, or is it just makes you happy?
It makes you happy, that's all.
Pavlos had yet one more favourite to share. His handmade brandies that are served in a most unusual way.
If the customers want to have a drink, we take it straight from here. and
Into
we
the
serve
glass?
it. Into the glass, and we serve it. This is fantastic.
So from the barrel
For the barrel, yes,
to the table.
to the table.
Bretos' timeless setting speaks volumes about the character of its delightful owner. Combine that with the endless choices and the warm, welcoming Greek hospitality, and you've got a place I won't soon forget. I hope you too will do what I did and explore more of Greek culture for yourself.
Within Athens, we also offer 2 privileged access tours. Now, these are exclusive cultural visits only available through Viking. You'll gain special behind-the-scenes access that is not otherwise open to the general public. The first is a visit to the exclusive private estate of George and Anne Kokotis. Now, this couple's vineyard produces excellent Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot and Chardonnay grapes. Here, you will also be treated to a cooking demonstration and lunch, including organic vegetables from the estate. The second privileged access tour is exploring an exhibit about British naval icon Vice Admiral Lord Horatio Nelson. You'll be immersed in seafaring culture and learn about ancient Greek sailing vessels. We're now on day 8 and it's time to disembark. Now, if you feel you would like to explore for longer, we also offer this itinerary as a combination cruise, which enables you to combine multiple cruises to explore for longer. So, for example, you could combine a 7 and a 14-night itinerary to make a 21-night voyage, sailing all the way from Barcelona to Istanbul. Or you can, of course, extend your journey on land. Your post-extension package options include a further 2 nights in Athens in a centrally located hotel where you can explore the city easily on foot and you discover everything that this remarkable city has to offer. Or join our classical Greece extension for 4 nights, which gives you the opportunity to visit Delphi, which is situated around 180 kilometres from Athens. And on all our pre and post extensions, you will have access to a Viking host. Whatever option or combination you choose, I do hope you enjoyed this short presentation, and it's given you even a brief insight into a truly remarkable part of the world. I'm available now to hopefully answer any questions that you may have, and full information on this and all our itineraries can be found on Viking.com or via our contact centre. Thank you very much for joining this presentation. Well, welcome back, everybody. As I said, I hope you enjoyed that very brief presentation, and it gives you a bit of an overview of what to expect on this amazing itinerary. And there were some really, really good videos in there as well. And if you want to see more Viking videos, then head over to Viking.com, or also on this channel, Viking.TV. There's some great links to some videos that we can show you the delights of the world that Viking operates in. So it's question time now, and I've got a few questions coming through, so I'll do my best to try and answer them as best as I can. And if we can't answer them, then we've got a brilliant team behind the scenes that will do their best to get back to you with the relevant answer. So let's head off around the world. And I love this bit of the presentation, actually. You get to talk to everybody from all over. And for the last year, it's good to talk when some of us have not had lots of people to talk to. So there we go. Right. So the first one in is from James. It doesn't say where James is, so it may be James behind the scenes that sent this question in. What service does Viking provide on the Rome extension? The Rome extension is completely independent, so you've got 2 full days to do your own thing, wander around, maybe do a walking tour or take a coach tour around the area, or really sort of absorb what Rome's got to offer. You'll have transfers included if you've got the Viking Air, and you'll also have the services of a Viking host that can certainly direct you in the right area for things to do in Rome. But it is an independent extension, so you won't have somebody with you for the full duration that you're there, but you will have somebody on hand to answer any questions for. But on the website Viking.com, it gives you more detailed information of exactly what happens on the extension packages. So I hope that helps. And I really have to say, as I sort of mentioned in the presentation, if you are coming into Europe and it is a long flight, if you're traveling from the States or you're traveling from Australia, New Zealand, it's not bad from the UK, it's only a 2-hour flight. But if you've never been to Rome before and you're joining this cruise, then do try and extend it for a couple of days just to get the best out of the itinerary. So thanks for that question, James. Much appreciated. Let's see where we'll head off to now. Got a question from Lance in San Bruno, California. Hi, Lance. Hope everything is well over there. It must be around midday, I think, over in California at the moment, or slightly before it. We noticed this particular cruise departs in the autumn and winter. Can you tell us a bit about the other options to travel to Southern Europe in the summer with Viking? And can you comment on the difference in the experience apart from the heat? Is it really much quieter in the winter? So we have several ocean cruises operating throughout the summer. Rome, Barcelona. We've got a great itinerary, actually, Istanbul, Venice, which is a 14-night itinerary, and it visits several of the Greek islands. Really, really nice. The Mediterranean in the summer is a special place. It's blue skies, it's sunshine, it's great sunrises, and it's great sunsets. And if you do like the warmer weather, the summer is an ideal time to actually to travel. For some of the places that you visit and some of the historical sites, they can be very busy because it's the peak time for everybody to travel. And if you compare going to Rome in, say, August to Rome in November, December or January, the crowds have disappeared and you do have a bit more freedom to walk around. But in saying that, you do have to contend with it maybe slightly chillier. You know, you may have grey skies during the day. You can have some brilliant blue skies where you need to wrap up quite warm, but the crowds have disappeared and it's a quieter time to travel. There's actually not hundreds of cruise lines that operate this sort of itinerary in the winter either. So we're quite unique in that respect, that we try and take you to these places when the crowds have disappeared. But the summer in the Med, I mean, I love the summer in the Med. I love the sunshine, but as I said, with my hair colour, and the sun doesn't always agree with me, but it can get up to 95 degrees plus if you're in Greece or Turkey. So if you like the heat, fine. You'll have a great experience in the summer, but as is the winter, the crowds have gone. My recommendation: do both. Go in the summer, go in the winter. See what one you prefer. That's the ideal solution. So thanks for that question, Lance. Thank you. Right, who else do we have? We've got Susan over in Brooklyn in New York. Hi, Susan. Can you comment on what to pack for a January cruise? Does it get very cold both during the day and at night? On this particular cruise, it can be quite mild actually in, say, Kusadasi and Athens, even in Naples. Rome can get that bit chillier. It really depends. I mean, the weather sort of plays tricks on us all the time at the moment. I would just suggest that you pack in layers, really. So good walking shoes on the feet for wandering around. The cities, lots of cobbled streets, especially in sort of the old district of Athens, and obviously if you're in Rome or if you're in Naples, you'll want to get out and explore and absorb it all in. But take layers, take like a fleece with you. I'd even suggest, take a scarf and gloves just in case it does get that bit chillier in the evening. But the weather, you can have beautiful sunny days. It might be cold. I mean, it might be, could be 16 degrees or so. So come 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it will start to get chillier. But always take a couple of layers anyway, because when you're on one of our ships, we've got more outside areas than many other ships out there, and you'll want to be outside. You'll want to be out there at 6 o'clock at night as you sail away from the port, just to say that you've done it, and it's a great experience. So even when you're on the ship at night, you need a few layers. But it might be cold, but it's bearable. It's definitely nowhere near as cold as northern Norway in the winter. So it's quite a mild climate. So don't be too put off by that for traveling at that time. So thanks very much for your question, Susan. I'm going to read this next question out. I can't actually answer this. I could probably maybe hazard a guess at what I think the answer could be, but I'm not entirely sure of the answer. And this is from Dr. Stephanie in Pasadena. Thanks for the info. As someone with Greek heritage, I was wondering if you know where the name Suda of Suda Bay came from. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it maybe comes, I don't know if it's actually a name. I think that, from what, I remember having conversations with people called Suda, and I may actually, I think it's like a traditional name in Greece, that where the actual name comes from, I'm not too sure on that. So I don't know if anybody behind the scenes knows that answer or not, but if they do, I'm sure somebody will pipe up and get that answer back to you. But thanks for sending that one in. There's always a question that comes in to catch me out. So thanks for that, Dr. Stephanie. Right, where are we now? I've got one from Marlene in Warrington. Hi, Marlene. I love Italian food. Marlene does, as do I. And I hope you enjoyed the pictures of Manfredi's coming up. I just think it's a phenomenal experience when you're on board that ship and you're in Manfredi's and you really soak up the Italian atmosphere, whatever part of the world you're in. It really brings you back to Italy. Is there a chance to visit local markets or perhaps do a cooking class during this cruise? Now, I'd have to look at the day-by-day itinerary. But on many of our cruises, we have the kitchen table. And if anybody that's been on our ocean ships, you may have done the kitchen table excursion. And if not, it's worth just looking at the kitchen table as an experience because it's set up so beautifully. And what the kitchen table is actually where we're in port in some itineraries that you can go ashore with the chef, pick the ingredients, and you come back, and then that ingredients that you've picked is prepared. And then that's where you'll have your lunch that day. And it's sold as an excursion, but it's more than actually just going to the market and picking the produce. You learn about the market, you learn about the ingredients and what you're going to make. And you can always have a hand in how the ingredients are prepared. So I'm not 100% sure how or where that would operate on this cruise. We can find out for you. But in general, that is an opportunity. And remember, if you are, traveling independently ashore, so if you're off the ship and you're in one of the cities that we're visiting, you can always go off and explore on your own and head to the market and see what produce is going there. But the chef's, the kitchen table on board the ship is a great opportunity. And especially if there's a crowd of you, if there's maybe if you're traveling with a couple of friends or so, it's good to get together, and it's a great experience to take part in. So that is the kitchen table on board the ship, but we will try and find out if that is available on this particular itinerary. So thanks very much for that question, Marlon. Here we go. Got another one from Heinz in Tacoma over in the States. Hi, Heinz. You've signed up for the November cruise from Barcelona to Athens. Lucky you. I wish I had signed up for that cruise. I'm confused about requiring restaurant reservations 60 days in advance. I've taken several river cruises, but reservations were not an issue. And I suppose that's really where the difference between river and ocean comes in. On our river cruises, you can sit, wherever you like, with whom you like, and dinner is generally at a fixed time. On our ocean ships, on our ocean ships, the restaurants, generally the main restaurants, it's just a turn up and go system, where you can speak to the maitre d' at the restaurant, book the reservation for the table that you want, and then you're good to go at the time that you want and the table that you want. And that's generally the case for booking the restaurant. For our other itineraries are alternative restaurants. So if you think of the ocean ship, we've got Manfredi's Italian, we've got the chef's table, which is the tasting menu. And the tasting menu and the chef's table is amazing. We've got such a variety of different menus that rotate, sort of from Pan-Asian to European, fantastic itineraries. But you can book these in advance, and generally it depends on the grade of stateroom that you're in when the reservations open, and how many guaranteed spaces that you will get in these alternative restaurants. But remember, if you don't pre-book your restaurant in advance for the ship, and you just turn up, and if we have got space available on board the ship in that restaurant, you will be allocated a place. But you will get allocated a certain number of guaranteed dinings at the alternative restaurants in advance, and that's the only real difference. There's more information on that on Viking.com, and if you head to the ships and the restaurants and the onboard experience and inclusions, it will give you that information as well. And also on My Viking Journey, that is some great information on there to tell you about the restaurant dining. So you can book them in advance depending on your stateroom grade, depends on when you can book them and how many guaranteed reservations that you've got. But remember, on board the ship, if we have space in that restaurant, then you can book that at no extra charge at all. So thanks very much for your question, Heinz, and enjoy your cruise in November. Not too long to wait. I've got one from Ian in Billings. Does this itinerary include any scenic cruise along the Amalfi Coast, and is it possible to visit Sorrento or some of the other little towns and villages? I would probably say from when you're in Naples, do the Sorrento itinerary, and you do a brilliant drive along the Amalfi Coast, which is absolutely stunning, and you stop at two little sort of seaside towns, so you can really get a taste of sort of local authentic Italian culture and how these little towns and villages operate en route to Sorrento. There's some scenic cruising obviously, but I think to get a different perspective on it, maybe from land looking at sea rather than the other way about, definitely do that excursion down to Sorrento. And as I said, you've got a couple of stops along the way where you can visit small towns and villages, so that'd certainly be my recommendation. So it's a great place, Sorrento. Actually, it's quite from the UK, Sorrento is quite a popular holiday spot, and lots of sort of Brits will head over to Sorrento for a week's holiday for relaxation, because there's lots of restaurants and cafes, and it's really, really laid back atmosphere. Lovely resort actually. So definitely an excursion worth doing. So thanks very much for your question there, Ian. Much appreciated. Got one from Connie over in the States. Hi, Connie. What was the name of the volcano that erupted and buried Pompeii? That was Mount Vesuvius. So So that's answered your question. I had to go put my history head on and go back to school there. But yeah, Mount Vesuvius. And if you watch the presentation, there was a good video on Mount Vesuvius as well. Pompeii is you must do that excursion. If you're certainly doing this cruise. You think, how many times am I going to go back to this area? It might be a once in a lifetime experience to see it. You may have studied it at school, so it's definitely an excursion that you should really be considering. But yeah, Mount Vesuvius. So thanks very much for your question, Connie. Much appreciated. Another ship question here, and this is from Richard in Kent, Ohio. Hi, Richard. I was trying to work out if Kent was your last name there, Richard, but I think it's Kent, Ohio. Can you tell us a bit more about the dining options on the ship? Do you need to book ahead for dinner? Also, are there tables for two, or do you always sit with a big group? So, on our ocean ships, we have lots and lots of tables for two. And so, if I just spend a couple of minutes just talking about the restaurants on board the ocean ship. So you've got the main restaurant in the on board the ocean ships, and it's a large space, but it's beautifully broken down. Lots and lots of natural light. You've got windows right along the side of the ship, so it's not like some ships where actually the restaurant is in the sort of bow of the ship. This has got lots and lots of natural light coming through. And that is lots of tables for two, which are far enough apart that you can have some privacy. But if you want to talk to your neighbours, then that's fine. If, of course, you do like a group and you do want to join other people, you can speak to the maitre d', and then they'll be able to sit with other people. But lots of tables for two in the restaurant, and that's what you would be allocated if there's a couple actually travelling. Manfredi's, the Italian, is tables for two as well. We have got tables up to 8. We've got these brilliant booths if there's a crowd of yous. So if you're travelling with a group of friends in the future, we've got these booths, which I would always try and request in Manfredi's at the side of the restaurant. And that's got a nice cosy atmosphere, actually. You've got the chef's table, which again is lots of tables for two. Thing I have to point out about the restaurants, actually, in the chef's table and in Manfredi's, we have a private dining room. So if you're travelling with friends, or if there's a large group of you, always speak to the maitre d', see if the private dining room is available. And it's sort of, it's behind closed doors. It's quite a nice little special place, actually. And if you're maybe celebrating a birthday or an anniversary and you're traveling with a group of friends, it's quite a nice spot to try and try and sort of hide yourselves away. So that's certainly worth thinking about. We then have Manfredi's. Mamson's up in the Explorers Lounge, and that's sort of free seating. There's tables for two, there's tables for four. And that Mamson's is open in the morning for like a traditional Norwegian breakfast. You've got your herring there, you've got your waffles, these brilliant, beautiful homemade waffles with traditional sort of family Hagen recipe on fantastic chinaware as well. Actually, Mamson's is one of my favourite spots, actually, and because you're in the Explorer Lounge, you've got these fantastic views as you look out the window. So it's great having your breakfast there in the morning. Get up early, have your breakfast, and get stunning views as you're coming into port. And then you've got the World Cafe, and the World Cafe is free seating, sit where you want, tables for two, tables for four, tables for six, and that's where you've got the alfresco dining as well. So you've got the Aquavit Terrace, which backs onto the infinity pool, and lots of tables out there for two as well. So that was a long-winded way of answering your question, Richard. But to answer your question, lots of tables for two, and it's your choice if you want a table for two or if you wanted to join a bigger group. So all good on that front. Thanks very much for your question, Richard. One from Marjorie in Stevens Point in the States. I'm not sure where Stevens Point is, but I hope everything is well over there, Marjorie. You are, just a comment, you're planning this trip as soon as possible. And I think all of us are planning trips as soon as possible because we've had a year of no trips. So certainly there's, get planning your vacation for so you've got something to look forward to. So thanks for that comment, Marjorie. Got one from Royce in St. Louis, Missouri. I think that's St. Louis, Missouri. When is this tour becoming available again? So this itinerary operates from October through to the back end of February in the winter period, and it's on sale from the back end of this year, 2021, right through to February of 2023, operating in the winter season. So you can book that now. That's available for sale, and we've got 2 or 3 different ships operating that route as well, actually, such as the popularity of it. So yeah, you can get more details again on the website with the dates available. Just go to Journey to Antiquities, dates and pricing, and it'll show all the stateroom grades and the dates that are available. But that's not a problem at all. We can get that fixed up for you. So thanks for that question, Royce. I've got one from Yvette over in the States. Hi, Yvette. Visa Turkey. So generally, if you're traveling on our ocean ships, if you're on a UK or US or Australian passport, generally the visa entry for Turkey is sort of covered by the ship because you're there as part of a group, and that is generally the case on all their itineraries. So if it would be a different story if you were, say, flying into Turkey. So if you were doing an itinerary that, say, started in Istanbul and ended in Athens, and Istanbul was your first port of entry, then don't quote me on this, check with the relevant visa agencies or Viking call centre, but generally you would need a visa. For UK citizens at the moment, you can do an electronic visa for Turkey. Back before, you used to have to queue up when you arrived into Turkey and pay cash, and then you get a sticker in your passport. But generally, it's like an e-ticket, it's like an e-entry visa. But if Turkey is a port of call within your itinerary, generally you're included on the ship visa list, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And actually, just a word on that, and I digress from the itinerary that we're talking about. But Russia, a prime example. So if you do the waterways of the SARS itinerary, for example, you do require a visa for that. Which you have to get in advance. But if you do, say, the Homelands itinerary, which has, a couple of days in St. Petersburg, there's no visa required. So that's the benefit of travelling. Certainly on an ocean ship, you're generally covered by the ocean visa, and unless it's your start and entry point. So, but check the call centre or the contact centre if you have any further questions on that. But hopefully that's helped you there. Got one from Kyle in Tampa. Hi, Kyle. Thanks for watching Viking.TV and thanks for your question. Which of the extensions would you recommend doing? We like the sound of the trip, but we'd like to make it longer as it will be a long haul flight for us. So in terms of extensions, if you've never been to Rome, definitely do Rome, because I think you would leave disappointed if you just went to join the ship. And flying to Rome airport, you head down to the port, which is about an hour to an hour and a half away, and you've not visited Rome. So if you've never been there, I definitely put that on your tick list. I love Athens, actually. I really like Athens as a city. It's got a really nice feel as you're wandering around. You've got this history on your doorstep. The old Plaka district, Plaka Square, for example, is just great to sit and have a coffee and look around. And there's so much history and so many museums that you can visit. And, you've got the old and the new collide. You've got these fantastic glass new office buildings that are coming through. And then you've got the Acropolis, which you can see in your eyesight as well. So Athens is a great place to visit. And when the ship docks in Athens, you're in Piraeus, which, as I mentioned, is about half an hour to 45 minutes from the centre of Athens. Which is fine and it's accessible, but ask yourself, when am I going to return to Europe? What is on your bucket list? What do you need to see? So I definitely recommend certainly Rome or Athens would be my 2 options. Or if you've never done Greece before and want to see more of it, do the classical Greece extension. which is sort of 4 nights escorted, and then you're really getting into the heart and soul of that area of mainland Greece. The other thing I would consider, and I touched on it briefly at the end of the presentation, was although this is a 7-night itinerary that I'm talking about, you have got the option to do a combo cruise of 14 or 21 nights. So if you want to combine, you know, a cruise, say, from Barcelona, or if you want to see Istanbul, Istanbul is absolutely phenomenal. I love Istanbul. I've not been there for a few years, but I went to Istanbul in February, about 6 years ago, actually. And, you know, it was blue sky, sunshine. There was some snow on the ground, but it was a great atmosphere. But you can combine 2 or 3 cruises in order to visit all these places. So if you didn't want to do a land stay, try and add another 7-night cruise onto the itinerary and make the most of your adventure to Europe, because it is a long way to come. You know, it's you know, if you're coming from the UK and we're doing, say, the West Indies Explorer, that's a good 10-hour flight. And for coming over from the States to Europe, we think nothing of it in the UK because it's a 2-hour hop on a plane. But if you're coming at a distance, try and extend it as much as you can, really. So yeah, more time on the ships the better. I just love these ships. I cannot wait to get back on board one of our ocean or river ships. So thanks very much for your question, Kyle. One from, I don't know if I've answered this actually, Michael in the States. What is the weather like at the end of October to early November? It's quite a mild time generally, actually. I mean, sometimes, you know, in the back end of October down there, you can still get temperatures of up to around 25 degrees or so, which is what, about 79, 80, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. So it can still be really warm, but generally you're talking about 18 degrees or so, sort of mid-60s Fahrenheit. But as I said, take a few layers, because when the sun goes down, it does start to get a little bit drafty. So make sure that you've got extra layers to cover yourself for that. So thanks very much for your question, Michael. One from Timothy in Delaware. Hi, Timothy. Thanks for your question this evening. We're interested in doing a med cruise and would also like to split the time ashore with plenty of time to relax on the ship. Can you tell us what it is like staying on board some days while others go ashore? Is there plenty of space for sitting by the pool, for example? I laugh at this, and it has nothing to do with the question, but our ships are so well designed, you wonder where everybody is. So if we're traveling and our ship is full to capacity, which is 930 guests, which isn't a lot when you think of, you know, some of the big cruise lines out there that are carrying 5,000 people, you know, 930 guests, that's the ship I would rather be on. But you wonder where everybody is because we've got so much space. So you might be sitting in your stateroom because you've got the balcony reading a book as you just, you know, watch what's happening outside. You could be up in the Explorer's Lounge, the living room, which is the sort of main deck really when you come in on board the ship. There's so much space, so much space there. So in terms of sort of seating areas, even at full capacity, there is so much space. And a lot of the comments that I get from guests is, I cannot believe how much seating that you've got when we compare it to other cruise lines. So so there's lots of seating there. Now the pool area, so we have the main pool area, which has the retractable glass roof. So I'm using my hands there, but you know what I mean. It's the retractable glass roof. So if the weather's great, the roof is open generally, and if the weather's not so great, the roof's closed. But you can always sit there regardless and enjoy the pool. You've then got lots of deck space up on deck 7 and 8, where you have got lots of sun loungers, very, very well spaced out sun loungers, lots of space up there. You've then got the infinity pool at the back of the ship on deck 7, just off the World Cafe. Got lots of sun loungers around there. So, what you might do actually is, do a morning excursion. And actually, when it comes to booking excursions, you generally have times, especially on the included tours. So you might have a tour starting at maybe 9 a.m. right through to 1, and then you're back on board in the afternoon. So you might want to spend the morning on board the ship and do the tour, or do the tour and then spend the afternoon in the ship. So we make it flexible for you. But in terms of space, there is so much space. There's so many places to sit. If you're a sun worshipper, there's so many places to lie out. But there's also a lot going on board the ship as well. So yes, it's quieter, but we've got quizzes. There's sometimes lectures going on. There's so much entertainment in room on TV. But actually, if you just want to sit and grab a book, then you can do. So again, to answer your space, your question, lots and lots of space on board the ship. So hopefully I've answered that question. I'm just thinking actually sometimes I go into a bit too much detail when I'm answering these questions, because I get a bit excited, especially when we're talking about the ships. But hopefully that you got the gist of what we're trying to say there, Timothy. So thanks very much for your question. We've one from Ellen in Canada. Hi Ellen, I hope you are well. If I book a cruise with you and air is not included, will you still transfer me from the airport to the hotel? We have, first of all, we have very, very good rates on air from the States and Canada. So you certainly speak to us when you're booking your air. And if you're not booking your air with us, we can organise the transfers for you, but it may be at a charge. There may be a charge if you've not booked your air for us to put the transfers, but we can certainly take care of that for you. So there's no problem at all there. So thanks very much for your question, Ellen. Much appreciated. We've got one from Jane in the UK. Hi, Jane. When, if known, is this holiday likely to be available? So the cruises are available to book now. And as I mentioned earlier, these particular cruises operate in the winter season, the quieter season, October through to February. But again, head on to Viking.com, dates and prices, all you want to know about the itinerary, links to all the videos that we've watched tonight, dates and pricing which are live, so it shows you live availability and live pricing, and that'll give you all the information that you've got. And again, if you weren't really keen on this itinerary, you've been to this part of the world, there's so many other, but you want to travel to Europe in the winter, we've got so many other itineraries that you can choose from. So yeah, Viking.com is the place to go for that. So thank you for your question. There we go. We've got one from Brian in, I don't know how to pronounce this, Brian, actually, Seminole in the States. Does this tour include Santorini? Now, this particular itinerary doesn't include Santorini, but we do have two itineraries that do include Santorini. So you've got Empires of the Med, which is Empires of the Mediterranean, which is Venice through to Athens. And that operates in the summer months, actually. And then you've got Greek Odyssey itinerary that operates in the winter, and that is like visits great places like Corfu and Crete and some of the smaller Greek islands. Santorini is a pretty phenomenal place, actually. The view, and it's that whenever you see images of Greece, you'll generally see Santorini with the sort of blue domed houses and the whitewashed villages, and you can get the cable car, or you can walk right to the top of the mountain in Santorini. So that we don't operate it on this trip, but we do operate it on two others. So it's definitely well worth it. Santorini is a beautiful place, actually. You can get lost in this little in all the little villages and the streets, and sit in a cafe and watch the world go by. It's a great place, but not on this itinerary. So that's Empires of the Mediterranean, or Greek Odyssey you can do for Santorini. So hopefully that'll answer your question. And again, we've got more information on the website. So thank you very much for that, Brian. Another weather-related question from Linda in Clayton in the States. What will the weather be like in the first part of November? Generally mid-teens, mid-16s. But remember, you will probably get some rain in some areas that you visit. So just pack a waterproof jacket and an umbrella. So that's hopefully answered your question there, Linda. Thanks very much for that. We have got one from Jacqueline in Phoenix. Hi, Jacqueline. I hope you are well. Phoenix, what time is that? Must be about midday again, I think, over in Phoenix. So just having your lunch, possibly. Thanks for the question. So visiting, I can never pronounce the name of this place. Visiting Herculaneum. Herculaneum has been my goal since I walked the streets of Pompeii 56 years ago. It is an optional choice on this trip, but our slots usually gone in minutes of being open. Very, very popular. And it's done from Naples. You do this excursion from Naples. And excursions, like the restaurants opening, the excursion open, the booking option for the excursions open generally depends on your stateroom grade. And that's really just to phase it in, so I suppose there's not a rush all of at once to try and book them. So you will get a notification generally on My Viking Journey about when excursions are available to open, and as soon as that's possible, just go straight in there and book it. Sometimes if there is a high demand for a particular excursion, we'll try and put more space onto it, but it's never guaranteed. But you know, keep an eye on My Viking Journey, and that will give you the exact time and date that excursion will open. So thanks very much for your question, Jacqueline. Sorry. Is that another Jacqueline? Sorry, hopefully it's Jacqueline Phoenix. I've just been to Phoenix. I think I just spoke to Jacqueline. You've sent in another question. You're confusing me there. You and your daughter are going on this cruise in Thanksgiving 2022. Very good. That is not long to wait. What have you got, a year and a half or so? Something to look forward to. So have a brilliant time on that trip, Jacqueline. Unfortunately, I'm not scheduled to be there, but you will have a brilliant time. So thanks very much for that little comment. One from Kathleen in Corvallis. That is probably not the right pronunciation, Kathleen, so do excuse me, but I've done my best there. Does Viking provide umbrellas for included tours and others organised by Viking? Yes, we do. And you will find umbrellas, these sort of big golf-style umbrellas, actually, in your wardrobe, in your stateroom, which you can take with you. And then also, if you forget it, generally, as you leave the ship, we have a bucket there with umbrellas in it that you can take with you as well. So don't worry too much about that. It's Viking, everything's taken care of. You don't worry about anything. So if you need an umbrella, we'll organise it. So that's in your stateroom or just as you disembark the ship. So not a problem there at all. But hopefully the weather will be sunny and you'll not need the umbrella, but it's always there as an option. So all good. Thanks for that, Kathleen. Right, there we go. We have got we've got one from Sandra. I don't know where you are, Sandra. Thanks for watching Viking.TV. How many onboard lectures are typical per trip? It really varies, but it's not uncommon to have a daily lecture. You know, so I mean, you know, generally, we've had like round table discussions because a lot of people have got, you know, points of view and, you know, interest that they want to speak to one of the historians on board, who are always wandering around the ship. And please feel free to stop and ask any questions, because they're the most knowledgeable people out there about the area that you're you're visiting, and every lecturer is handpicked certainly for that destination and got a wealth of knowledge. But generally, we've got lectures taking place in the Star Theatre. So that's where you'll get sort of your entertainment in the night. But remember, before every port of call, you've always got an introduction to that port by your cruise director. And that can be seen on your screen in your stateroom or live in the Star Theatre. And then you've got certain lectures taking place which are advertised on the touchable screens throughout the ship or in Viking Daily. And we love Viking Daily. It's always that time of anticipation at around 7 p.m. the night before, when you get back to your stateroom and you see the Viking Daily there about what's going to happen the next day and where you're going to be. It's a great time. I've got a pile of them here so I can reminisce about all these cruises that I've been on. But to answer your question, daily. Generally, there's a daily lecture. The other great thing, of course, is especially in the Star Theatre, we've got this great Star Theatre that can seat a host of people. Got the stage, but then you've also got the two mini theatres behind the main theatre. So we can open them up if we've got a lot of people to see a show or to see a lecture, but we can also close them off. So in theory, we can have three things going on at the same time. So you could have a lecture going on, you may have a TED talk going on in another room, and you may have a movie in another room. And a lot of the stuff that we do is centred around the area that you're actually visiting. So generally, we've got a lecture a day on that. So thanks very much for your message, Sandra. We have got we've got one from sorry, bear with me a second. One from Leroy in the States. Hi, Leroy. Is there any Christmas cruises, and what different events are available around the holidays? So we have Christmas cruises, we have Thanksgiving cruises, and in terms of the actual itinerary, it more or less stays the same. But what you might find on Christmas Day, for example, sometimes there's not a lot going on in the ports and a lot of things are closed, and museums, etc. So you might find that that's a day at sea. So double check the itinerary before you book. In terms of actually on board the ship, we do have a lot of different activities taking place on board the ship with a festive theme. So you're well taken care of over the holidays and over the Christmas period. But actually, when you're ashore, it's much of the same itinerary that we would operate, but there may be some operational differences depending on what's open on a specific public holiday that we visit. So hopefully that's answered your question. But if you want more specific information about that on a particular cruise, speak to our contact centre and we'll be able to answer that for you. But thank you very much for that message, Leroy. Where have we got? Got one from Jerry in the States, and it just says, we're going too. That's great. So I'm glad that you're going on this itinerary. You'll have a brilliant time. It's something to look forward to, isn't it? We've got one from, bear with me a second there, sorry. One from Mike in Montclair in the States. In any restaurants on board, you can ask for seconds. The food is so good and the choice of bread is awesome and addictive, and so are the desserts. Well, I'll certainly second that on everything, and especially the breads. The bread basket that you get in Manfredi's is just out of this world. They do this brilliant cornbread. I probably need to get the recipe, and I'm not the best cook, but it's phenomenal. So that's a food lover there. So thanks very much for that, Miki. We have got, bear with me one sec, sorry. One from, it's more of an operational question actually about the ships. If you're traveling with another couple, how do you coordinate your advanced reservations at the alternative restaurants? There's generally an option on My Viking Journey where you can invite, and it's quite a while since I looked at this, so correct me if I'm wrong, or somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, where you can actually invite another party traveling to dine at your table. So that's definitely an option. We can combine that, no problem at all. So thanks very much for your question there, Jane. One from Joanna. Hi, Joanna. Do you have many solo travellers, and how do you handle that for restaurants? We do have a lot of solo travellers, Joanna. In regards to the restaurants, like I mentioned earlier, you know, there's lots of individual tables for two, or group tables. And, you know, at Viking, we're quite sociable. We're all there for the same interest. We want to learn about the destination and travel on these amazing ships. And, you know, everybody's very, very friendly. So if you fancy just having a table to yourself, as I mentioned earlier, generally the tables are spread, you know, near enough but far enough apart, so you can have a conversation with anybody, and everybody's very, very engaging. Or if you want, and there's a lot of people that will take a large table, and you can just ask to join one of the larger tables, and that's where you sort of meet and chat and take it from there. But you know, everything's taken care of. The crew on board are phenomenal, so they'll make sure that you're well looked after. But there are, you know, if you'd like to sit with a larger table, especially in the main restaurant, that's not an issue. Prefer your own company with an easy contact to chat to anybody if you want to, then we can take care of that as well. So not a problem. So thanks very much for your message, Joanna. Let's see, where are we? One from Gina. Hi, Gina. I'm not sure where you are. Again, welcome to Viking TV, and thanks very much for watching. Is the Barcelona to Istanbul itinerary or any of the Mediterranean itineraries available on any of the long ships? They're not. They're all on our ocean ships, so they'll take 930 guests, whereas the long ships on the main rivers of Europe take approximately 190. Yeah, so Barcelona, Istanbul itinerary will be one of our sister ocean ships for that period. So 930 guests total on that. So thanks for your question, Gina. Got one from I've got Guitar in Kenmore in the States. Are the kitchen table excursions available on Viking River cruises as well? So the kitchen table excursions are only available on ocean. You know, where you go with the chef and then you come back and you dine on board. You know, on some of our river cruises, though, we do have excursions that take you to the market, and you know, so that's generally not an issue. And I know, you know, previously, you know, the chefs been saying that they're going to the market and you can tag along with them. But in terms of the kitchen table experience, that's ocean that would be applicable to. So thanks very much for your question there. I keep saying this on any Viking TV that I do. I hope you can understand the accent, and I do hope you can understand my Edinburgh accent today. Apologies if you can, but I'll hopefully you can. One from James. Are there any beaches close to the cruise ports on this tour? In Kuşadası in Turkey, there are. In Crete, you've got some phenomenal beaches around the Hani area, and in Athens, your nearest beach is there's a really nice coastal resort in Athens called Vouliagmeni, which is about 45 minutes from Athens, which is got a great beach. November, December, January, not sure if it's beach weather, but there's a few beaches around there. Travelling in the summer, then that's when certainly the beach life will come to life. So hopefully that's answered your question there, James. Got one from Marlon in Salt Lake City. Hi, Marlon. I missed the first part of this video. Is there a way to review what I've missed? So probably from tomorrow morning, or maybe very late into the evening, depending how fast James behind the scenes works. This will all be live again, and you can also watch it on our Viking Facebook channel as well, and I'll have all the questions and answers in there as well. So you'll be able to watch that from much later tonight or tomorrow morning, and hopefully it'll give you a few tips on this cruise. So thanks very much for that, Marlon. One from Brad in Mount Juliet in the States. When in Naples, can you do both Pompeii and Herculaneum tours? I don't think you can, actually. And funnily enough, I was looking at this a few days ago to see if there was one that you could combine the two of them. And I just don't think, with the time that you've got in Naples and the length of the excursions, that you can combine them. If I'm wrong, I'll be corrected and you'll be told the correct answer. But I'm pretty sure that you can't combine both of them. So you'll have to take both different experiences. Both got something to offer, but you'll have to weigh up the pros and cons of each one on that. But thank you very much for your question there, Brad. Let's see, what else do we have? One from Paul in Plymouth in the USA. Hi, Paul. How long is the stay at Ephesus? So the excursion itself is about sort of 3.5 hours or so. And actually, when you're in Kusadasi, the included excursion is to Ephesus. It's about 3.5 hours or so. You're in Kusadasi for about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 10 hours actually, I think the ship's in for. So, there's sometimes a choice to do a couple of excursions, but Ephesus, you're there for about a good sort of, it's about 3.5 hour excursion. There's a longer one. If you really want to absorb Ephesus, you can go on a longer optional excursion. But if you want the included one, you're there for about 3.5 hours. And then that can give you time to explore the Kusadasi area. And, Turkey, it's a safe place to wander around. Kusadasi is a beach resort. In the height of the season, it can be exceptionally busy. Off season, much quieter time to go. But you've still got sort of restaurants and cafes and locantas open, so you can head in there. And again, I don't need to reiterate to our sort of past guests with Viking who know how we operate. But if you're new to Viking, remember that we have an included shore excursion in every port of call. So we're not a cruise line that will, to coin a phrase, nickel and dime. You know what you pay for up front, and the inclusions, you'll probably walk away with the lowest bill that you've had on any cruise or any land-based experience. But we include a shore excursion in every port, when other major cruise lines will charge you for that privilege of stepping ashore and doing an excursion that you want to see. So there's nothing better to know that it's all taken care of and it's all paid for on your excursion. And even when you're having that glass of wine for your lunch and you want a second or a third, that you're not going to have a hefty bill at the end of it. So it's brilliant, actually. Brilliant Viking value. So thanks very much for your question there. Paul, let's see what else we've got. One from Alison in San Diego. Hi, Alison. thanks for watching. Sounds like a great cruise, but I think I would like to do one which is 2 weeks rather than one. Can you tell us a little bit about what other options there are for a longer trip in the Med? If you want to travel in the summer, I really quite like the Venice to Athens itinerary, the empires of the Med, where you'll also visit Croatia. You know, it operates obviously later in the season as well, but that's a nice 11-night itinerary, and then you can combine stays in Venice and Athens at the at either end. In the winter, if you were wanting to combine this itinerary and you wanted to go for 2 weeks, I would combine it with the Istanbul cruise. So you're getting the best of the Greek islands. You've got Ephesus, but then you visit Istanbul, which is just a phenomenal city. And that's a really nice 2-week itinerary, Athens to into Istanbul. Or the Greek Odyssey. I mean, the Greek Odyssey, if you want to discover Greece off season and get the best that Greece has to offer, then I definitely recommend the Greek Odyssey, which is a 14-night itinerary. And that was just launched not long ago, actually. So it's still in its infancy, but it's a cracking itinerary. So I definitely consider that. So Rome, Barcelona in the summer. Depends what part of the world you're looking at doing for a longer cruise. For the Mediterranean, Venice to, as I said, Venice to Athens, the Istanbul option for this cruise. Want something completely different, want to go away for 2 weeks in the summer, go into the midnight sun, which will take you up to the coastline of Scandinavia or Viking homelands to get a taste of the Baltic and visit great places like Bergen and Helsinki. That's a really nice itinerary in the summer. So many options. Thank you very much for that question. One from Emil in Northridge. That's the States, I think. I may be mistaken, and I'll probably find it's on the outskirts of London. I've got a funny feeling that's the States, but if you buy some local wine or ouzo, for example, are you able to bring it on the ship to drink? You know, with Viking, of course you can. We have first of all, we have no corkage fee, which is great. So if you're ashore and you find a beautiful bottle of wine and you think this is great, but I don't want to wait 2 weeks till I get back home till I try it, bring it back on board and you can have it at your dining table that night. You know, there's no corkage fee. And I think that's where we're unique. I personally don't know of any other cruise line that would allow you to bring your own alcohol on board and have it in the restaurant. And that is just one of the unique features that we that we have at Viking. You know, you go on holiday, you go on vacation to experience the culture. Why wait 2 weeks to taste that experience when you get back home and you can taste it on board or have a drink on your balcony? You know, other great thing about our ocean ships is we've got a fridge in every stateroom. So if you want to keep it chilled, then that's just absolutely perfect. So yeah, not a problem. Bring that back on. Absolutely fine. So thanks very much for that question there. One from Kurt over in the States. Hi, Kurt. If I wanted to book a voyage but wanted to schedule your own flights, how long before the voyage begins should I arrive? A day before the morning off, or how long? I wouldn't schedule, if you were traveling independently, booking your own flights, I probably wouldn't schedule your flight to arrive on the day that the ship departs. So I'd probably, you know, give yourself a couple of days if you're doing your own independent thing. Just, you know, in case there's any sort of delays or anything like that. Generally, most of our cruises in Europe, they'll sort of leave late afternoon, early evening, and check-in, again, you know, really starts from about 11 in the morning, depending on your cabin grade. But if you want to travel independently, I'd definitely give yourself a couple of days before the ship's due to depart before you fly in. So thanks for that question. Where are we? Let's see what other questions we've got coming through. One from John in Lake Charles in the States. Hi, John. We arrive in Barcelona about 6 hours before departure. What would be the best site to see, and how would we do it? So if you're arriving into Barcelona 6 hours before departure, time you get out of the airport, get transferred to the ship. It's about half an hour or so from the main airport in Barcelona. Check into your stateroom. Depends on the docking location in Barcelona, but the good thing about Barcelona port is it's fairly central to the city. So you'll probably have a good few hours that you could explore independently. Everything's accessible. You know, you've got the you've certainly got the museums, cathedral. You've got Las Ramblas, which runs the whole length of Barcelona, or the whole sort of main centre. I'd probably say that you could, the Casa Familia. You've got. I would probably start Las Ramblas, have some tapas, soak up the atmosphere of Barcelona, and then take a couple of the museums in. Actually, probably never really answered your question as well as I wanted to, because it's a while since I've been there. But that's certainly a good starting point. Taxis are plentiful to get around as well, and also the other great thing is on board the ship that we have local maps. So if you want to explore independently, grab a map from reception, and then you can explore independently when you're in Barcelona. It's not like some ports where you're quite a bit out of town. You are very accessible to get into Barcelona from where the ship docks. So thanks very much for your question there. And Jacqueline in Phoenix, vegan on board, dining options, vegetarian, etc. Put the request in at the time of booking, but we aim to cater for every diet, every sort of food offering that's out there. So we should be able to cater for that. Not an issue at all, Jacqueline. We have got just another one from Kathleen in Phoenix. This is Sisters Reunion we've got here. We've got Kathleen in Phoenix. I'm Marjorie from Stevens Point's sister. So hello, Kathleen. Thanks for joining. And Stevens Point is in the middle of Wisconsin. So there we go. You learn something new every day. I'm going to have to Google that now to see exactly where that is, but thanks for that. Took the Barcelona to Stockholm Ocean Cruise in 2018 and a river cruise in 2017. Had to cancel Italy, Adriatic and Greece in May 2020. So eagerly awaiting a future one on Viking. The ocean ships are incredible and Viking is great for their customers. So thank you very much for that comment, Kathleen. Much appreciated. There's a few questions in here about balances. When you book a cruise, when do you have to pay full payment? Just really check with the call centre, the contact centre, and they can give you the up-to-date terms and conditions. So I can't answer that specifically, but there is certainly people in our contact centres that can answer that for you, no problem. What else have we got? I think we're coming to the end of most of them. Lots of Jacqueline, is Herculaneum an option out of Naples? Yes, it is. So there is no problem there at all. I think there's probably some that I've missed, but from the ones that I have seen on Viking.TV on my little screen that pops up here, I think I've answered the majority of them. Remember, if there's, the presentation was very brief, and obviously it was only around 30 minutes, and it was interspersed with various videos. So, if you want to watch it again, you can watch the presentation on Viking.TV. You can have a look at on Facebook, on Viking's Facebook page. The Q&A will also be up there as well to hopefully answer any questions that you have got. Viking.com, loads of information on there. Day-by-day itineraries, excursions, extension options that you've got, stateroom availability, and our most up-to-date pricing and offer. So please have a look at Viking.com. There's so many places in the world to visit. A lot of us haven't travelled anywhere for the last year, and there's so many places on that tick list to get to. This is a special one. Rome through to Athens. You're stepping back in time. You're learning all about the stuff that if you've never been there, that you learned in school. As I mentioned in the presentation, Theseus and the Minotaur. I remember it from primary school. So when I got to Crete, it was fantastic to bring that to life. One of the key things that are coming up here, and I appreciate that lots of you are going to be travelling a fair distance, and to come to Europe, especially if you're over in Australia, New Zealand, or the US or Canada for a week, can be quite long. So definitely look at taking the extensions, or if you enjoy our ships as much as I do, and as much as all our past guests do, then extend it and try and combine a good two combo cruises, do a 14-night itinerary, and we offer various options throughout summer or winter. So main thing from this is winter months, lower temperatures, less people. Summer months, generally blue skies, blazing sunshine, great temperatures, but slightly more crowds versus the winter. So that's it from me. Thanks very much for watching. Hopefully I've answered most of your questions, and I may see you again on Viking.TV, and if not, take care of yourselves, and I will hopefully see you on board very, very soon. Thank you.